Hey everybody, welcome into The Spread, NESN.com's Football Picks podcast. I'm NESN.com's Mike Cole, joined as always by Andrew Cacciatorian and Ricky Doyle. We are back to make our Against the Spread picks for the three best games of the weekend. We'll also do some locks, upsets, and other general hijinks. And there is a good chance, as we do this on a Tuesday afternoon at 1:57 p.m. on the East Coast, that the trade deadline is 2 hours away, so we could have late breaking news as we did last week, and that could change the entire power structure of the NFL, rendering all of our picks moot and pointless. So
true. It also prevented us doing it this early in the week. Prevented us from doing the Chiefs-Vikings game, which we were.
Yeah, so
I still have an opinion on that game, regardless of the Patrick Mahomes situation.
The Mahomes thing is kind of something to monitor. So that is a good point. That's a big reason why we won't be picking it. I think that's the best game of the weekend.
Yeah,
if Mahomes is playing either that or the Sunday night game, which is on our card today. So without further ado, Andre, how did we do last week?
Last week, Ricky, your domination continues. In the last 3 weeks, it seems like you're getting 10 correct every week. Last week, 10 and 5. And Mike, you and I went 7 and 8. We both stink. And Ricky, you're 8 games ahead of Mike. Congratulations.
Well, I gotta enjoy it while it lasts.
That means he is 10 games.
Mike only cares about picking 3 games.
Regression.
He doesn't really care about the NESN.com picks that we post Thursday mornings. he only cares about the 3 games we pick here. He made that clear.
Why would I care about those other games?
I don't know, because they're it's a lot more picks. You can.
That makes, but like, all right. So you can call you guys.
You say who cares?
No, you can call me a hardo, but like we're actually
I'm not
talking
calling
about.
you a hardo. I'm saying
Ricky did.
I called him a hardo.
I'm only talking. So if you're thinking about this, like this is a general, like this is actually applicable, like betting stuff too. Like why would you bet the entire board when you just zero in on the things that you do well?
Because maybe there's a better deal. We only pick the 3 most entertaining games that are like worthwhile watching.
I also don't have endless amount of time to go through every game either.
I know, but if you want to make a bet.
I don't want to make bets though. That's why I'm not making bets on all those games.
But you do. You like to bet.
Not on those games.
So you only bet on 3 games a week.
Usually, well, so like I don't bet, but like I'm usually for my pools and stuff. I always generally use at least like 2 of the games that we do on the spread because they're the ones I
did most research on. Yeah. Okay, yeah. All right. Well, I like to do research on more than 3 games.
All right. Well, I have a life, so here we are. Sunday afternoon. No, Sunday morning.
There's a life.
Sunday morning. Texans Jaguars AFC clash in London. 9:30 a.m. kick at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, whatever the hell it's called.
No, it's actually at Wembley.
Oh, this one's at Wembley?
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
I just wanted, different parts of England.
They build that Hotspur Stadium for football?
No, they built that for Tottenham Hotspur.
I thought they built it for football.
Football as in English football.
I'm going to look into that. Anyway, the Texans are 2-point favorites, if I'm not mistaken, if that's the most updated line, against Jacksonville in a de facto home game for the Jaguars. Ricky, who do you got?
I'm going to take the London Jaguars here, who are very accustomed to going overseas. I think it's 6 years in a row they've been over there.
This is the 7th.
So, I don't know if that plays into this at all, but it's certainly a trip they're accustomed to making. I just think that the loss of J.J. Watt,
I looked into it. I'm not anticipating. Yes, the game is in Wembley. I never debated that. I misspoke on that one. And I looked it up too. Hotspur Stadium is the stadium for Tottenham Hotspur, replacing White Hart Lane. But it's also, this is something I learned in my research, it's designed to be a multi-purpose stadium featuring the world's first dividing retractable football pitch, which reveals a synthetic turf pitch underneath for NFL London games. So we're both right.
That's great.
Sorry. So they will be playing this one. So Wembley's on grass too, anyway.
So we get the facts squared away here.
We're good.
Okay. Regardless, wherever they're playing, I like the Jaguars. I do think from a Houston standpoint, the loss of J.J. Watt, obviously, it'd be tough to make that up from an on-field perspective. But I'm also factoring in a little bit of a human element standpoint here. Just losing your leader on defense. Several numbers across the board. According to ESPN, created the most pressure on 62 pass rushes. Created the first pressure, on 62 pass rushes. No other player in the NFL has more than 49. So constantly winning his battles. He's a guy defensively that you game plan for. So that loss obviously is huge. I think offensively, the Jaguars are going to be able to do something against this Houston defense, which has had some problems this year. Not a good tackling team, not a good team in coverage. So I think there's a situation where Leonard Fournette might go off. He's been pretty good as far as his elusiveness and ability to break runs after contact. So I like the Jaguars in this game. I think some injuries as well for Houston, certainly favoring Jacksonville's favor.
I agree with you, Ricky. I'm going to take the Jaguars. You mentioned injuries. You mentioned Jacksonville being in London. They've won 3 of their last 4 London games, for what it's worth. Deshaun Watson, his career has struggled against Jacksonville. 4 games, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, only a 77 rating. And you talk about poor tackling. The Texans have actually allowed the most yards after the catch this season, and they have also allowed the most receiving yards to running backs, which it echoes the Leonard Fournette.
Who's become a factor a little bit in the passing game. I mean, it's obviously a little bit different than years past. More of a ground and pound type of guy.
And for the Jaguars this year have 9 rushing plays of 20 or more yards. That's 3rd in the NFL, and 4 rushing plays of 40 or more yards, which is 1st in the NFL. Texans are susceptible of giving up the big play. They've allowed 6 rushing plays of 20 yards or more. That's 6th most. So I see a couple big plays here. And also, talking about pressuring Deshaun Watson, Jaguars, they get sacks, they blitz a lot, they get to the quarterback. I think Watson, talk about time to throw when it comes to Deshaun Watson throughout the last few weeks. He's improved on that, but the last week, against the Raiders, 2.88 seconds time to throw. It went up from the last 3 weeks, and he got sacked 3 times, and he could have been 4 times unless that last touchdown he got out of that play miraculously, got hit in the face and threw a touchdown. I see Watson getting pressured a lot in this game, and I think Jacksonville blows the Texans out of this one. I think it's going to be a blowout. There's a lot of things going against the Texans.
Yeah, I'm taking the Jaguars too. Weird. I need somebody smarter than me to explain like the time to throw thing. I can see how that works both ways, though. Well,
if you're extending plays, your time to throw is going to be high. But that also means you're being pressured. Usually if you're extending a play, you're not just chilling there in the pocket.
I get. How does that... So do sacks count? So you're getting sacked, too?
No, because...
Now it's confusing. Yeah, whatever. There's not a whole lot for me to add. Minshew's been pretty good. Also, Minshew's 5th, I think, in quarterback rushing yards, which is kind of interesting.
Behind Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, and Josh Allen. You're right up there.
Houston won this game week 2, but that was a weird game.
That was a 2-point conversion.
Minshew's first start. Houston did a good job. They put a lot of pressure on. That game was in Houston. A lot of pressure on Minshew with Watt and Merciless. Obviously, they don't have Watt this time around. I will say Jalen Ramsey played that game for Jacksonville, so DeAndre Hopkins was limited to 5 catches on 40 yards. Maybe he goes off, but I don't know. If he's not going to have time to throw the ball, Watson, then it's going to be tough to kind of generate that. Laramie Tunsil wasn't able to finish that Oakland game. Titus Howard, the other offensive tackle, has been dealing with a knee issue. Bill O'Brien has said he's hopeful that they'd get some of their offensive linemen back, but I was thinking about this too, and I'd love to ask an NFL coach this, but how does that recovery process work when you're traveling to London, from Houston to London? You'd much rather be at home, I'm guessing, where you're in your own facility. It just doesn't seem like it'd be a very easy thing to travel early.
Getting on a flight
Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah.
Well,
that's the other thing too, is just being on an 8-hour flight in general or whatever it is not going to help that either. So I feel like there may be some issues in trying to, with the recovery effort there if you're trying to travel, especially to London. So that's something to keep in mind. They haven't been as good offensively since Howard got hurt, so he's a real key for them. And so is Tunsil. I mean, it was a great job for them to win that game without him. But I wonder if that's something that gets exposed by a Jacksonville team that ranks 11th in hurry percentage, 3rd in QB knockdown percentage, 3rd in sacks, and tied for 1st in pressure. So it could be one of those things where Watson's running for his life again. Something to keep in mind, though, if you're looking at Houston, D.D. Westbrook he left that game last week with a shoulder. Marquise Lee's also hurt. So some injuries on the Jacksonville receiving core, but Jaguars 3-1 straight up and 3-1 against the spread since 2015 in London. So they've kind of found a little. Their only loss came to Philly last year. It was a good team.
They've got some receiving depth too. It's a sneaky good
That's
offense. It's not a bad offense at all.
Y'all got touchdowns last week. Cole, Chark, and Conley.
Not to mention the running back tandem is pretty good too. So they're a weird team. It's hard to kind of figure out. But one more pro Houston slant here. This is, I thought, kind of interesting. Favorites 19-6-1 straight up and 16-10 against the spread in the 26th London game so far. But Houston hasn't played in London yet. They only played in Mexico.
Houston is favored.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah,
if you
but
want
I know, but like, if you look at the yards per play differential spread, Jacksonville should be favored.
Okay. Good to know.
So maybe.
All right. Anyway, this is a game we're going to replace the Chiefs Vikings game with the Bears.
And the Eagles.
Pulled a quick audible at the line of scrimmage
Yeah.
this morning in our prep work.
Yep.
This is a huge game for both teams.
This is a big game. Yeah, this is. I think it was on the Bill Simmons podcast. He mentioned this as a loser leaves town.
I think it's an interesting game too.
It is. So the Bears head to Philly to take on the Eagles. The Bears coming off a disappointing, heartbreaking last-second loss. Meanwhile, Philly got right with a pretty convincing, dominant win on the road in Buffalo in adverse conditions. This game is in Philly. The Eagles are 5-point favorites. The total is at 43. Andre, who do you like?
I like the Bears in this one just because they're getting so many points. I like that they're getting 5 points. If you look at the yards per play differential spread, Eagles should only be 3.5-point favorites. And the last 2 weeks, the Eagles have allowed more than 5 yards per carry. Maybe Montgomery goes off again. I mean,
Maybe.
he might.
We're not ruling it out.
It's possible. But no, the Eagles beat the Bills last week mostly because of their running attack. They had that big rushing touchdown. They were running the ball all over the field. The Bears allowed just 3.6 yards per rush attempt. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. 5 points is a lot. Bears cover. 5 points is a lot.
It's interesting that Bills defense, for as good as it is, has had some problems when they go up against legitimate offenses.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like with the Bears defense, I feel like we've seen it against good offenses. Like I feel much more comfortable that they're going to be able to stop the Philadelphia offense to some extent. So I agree with you. I also like the taking the points here. It's a little bit of an identity game, I feel like, for both teams. It's sort of different than what I guess we were expecting to see from both of these teams coming into this year. But even with the Bears, I mean, even last week with Mitchell Trubisky has been a problem, I think we could agree on, at quarterback. But, I mean, they still, for the most part, outplayed the Chargers in that game from an offensive standpoint. A lot of it being the fact that they were able to move the ball on the ground, Montgomery, like you mentioned. So I think they could sort of ride a similar game plan this week. And I've seen what that Bears defense is capable of. It might not be as explosive or have the pass rush that it had last year, and particularly not coming up with the turnovers that they came up with last year. But I mean, still across the board, opponent yards per play, they're fourth. Opponent yards per rush attempt, they're fourth. Opponent yards per completion, they're fourth. So I mean, this is a team that, for the most part, is going to have to lean on its defense, and I think this week that'll travel well. And I like them to keep it within about a field goal. So I'll take the 5 points. It's a lot of points.
I got the Eagles. I think. You look at some of the issues that the Bears have had last couple weeks. Defensively, has been the inability to stop the run. They kind of got right last week against the Chargers, but you look at the Chargers, you dig a little deeper in their numbers. The Chargers 28th in yards per carry. You go back 2 weeks against Oakland and New Orleans, two teams with a far better running attacks. They got gashed. Philly, meanwhile, ranks 14th overall in yards per carry, and within the last 3 weeks, they're 4th in yards per carry. They had 218 total rushing yards last week. It looks like they kind of finally started to find something with that Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard combination. Sanders got banged. I think he's a shoulder injury, but it sounds like he's going to be okay. I also like this. You can kind of, maybe this is maybe this is necessary with how good that Chicago defense is, but the Bears are the most targeted defense with opposing running backs this season through the air. Miles Sanders, by the way, first among all running backs in yards per reception, 14.4. He's also just third overall among running backs with at least 50 touches and yards per touch. I think he has a big game. Kind of find ways to utilize him. You just look at this too. Quarterback and coach matchup both go to Philly here. If you want to talk kicker, they have the kicker matchup as well. So it is just the Mitch Trubisky thing is huge too. I mean, the guy stinks. It feels like he's getting worse. And I think that's got to be the most concerning thing for the Bears is you're not seeing the progression there. And I don't think his coach or that entire system is doing a whole lot to help him either. You talk about. Philly secondary maybe isn't that great, but I wonder if Trubisky is able to exploit that. And if Philly, which has a pretty decent pass rush, they get after the passer, Mitch has a 40.6 passer rating under pressure, according to Pro Football Focus. So a lot going there for Philly. And Philly, too, the Bears finally figured it out and said, yeah, we need to run the ball more. Philly at home this year allowing 3 yards, per carry.
That's that's misleading.
Okay, well, they're 8th overall.
I mean, you brought up the fact, Chargers are 28th in rushing yard, but Philly hasn't gone up against good running teams
Okay,
at home.
well, they're fine. They're 8th overall.
In the last 2 weeks, they've allowed more than 5 yards per carry.
Okay. One was against Dallas, and they won last week. So I didn't.
So yeah, they still allowed 189 rushing yards.
Okay.
So
All right.
it's a lot of rushing.
Okay. Yeah, they've had.
What are you talking about? They got crushed by Dallas.
I said that,
Yeah.
and I said last week they won.
Oh, you meant Buffalo. You said Dallas.
They lost to Buffalo, and they beat the hell out of.
No,
They
beat
lost to
Buffalo.
Dallas and beat the hell out of Buffalo.
Right.
Okay.
But they still allowed 98 rushing yards to
Alright.
Buffalo.
Okay.
Right. So I think Montgomery can be successful. You're talking about the
Right.
Bears
Yeah,
running
sure.
the ball.
Yeah.
Like against the Saints, they ran the ball 6 times. Who runs the ball 6 times in an NFL game?
You think that maybe the Eagles might game plan for that and try to make Mitch Trubisky beat them?
Well, the Saints had an early lead, and I think that's why.
If
Mitch
you get
Trubisky-
so at this point, just generally speaking, if the Bears run all over you, you deserve to lose because it's the only thing they can do.
right.
So I'm what?
I
was just making a general point.
Okay, but I'm just saying, you're like, okay, the Eagles at home, they've played the Redskins, Lions, and Jets. None of those teams have good running attacks.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Alright,
so when you say 3 yards allowed per carry,
You
have
have
to
a stick up your ass right now about something because you came in here like the. I don't
You
know.
said we can put some context.
You're the one who you never have context, and now all of a sudden you want to use.
I never have context. Okay,
Never.
yeah. Never have context.
Why don't you go back to your yards per play calculator
Alright.
and just tell me what the spread is, and we'll go from there.
That's not what. Okay.
Alright.
Yeah. Let's go to the Sunday night.
Sunday night game.
No, we got nothing else on the
That's
Bears
just-
Eagles.
I have
Deshaun
no
Jackson might
context.
be back this week too. First time
Welcome
since
back. What the hell has he been? Where's he
They
been?
haven't needed him.
Jesus.
Totally. I mean, it really hasn't affected their. I don't know.
Eagles stink.
Patriots
Both of those teams
Sunday night. Go to Baltimore. Patriots coming off a
The
win.
reason why you
over
pick the
Cleveland.
Eagles is because you don't want the YouTube commenters to attack you.
I did not. I didn't think about it at all. No, I really don't. Why would I actually care what the Eagles fans think?
Ah.
Why do I don't care what you think. Why would I care what the Eagles fans think?
You bring them up every week.
Did I bring them up at all here?
No, you didn't. You
No,
forgot
I
about it. You admittedly. Anyways,
Told them why I put them up. You said that making a pick to appease them. If I forgot about them,
Dude, it was a joke.
don't hear things you
It's
say
a joke.
sometimes.
Why would you make a pick based on that?
All right, so Sunday night, probably the best game of the week. Patriots head to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Patriots coming off a win at home against Cleveland last week. Baltimore had their bye. Patriots opened at 6-point favorites. They're down to 3.5. The total at 44.5. It doesn't look like weather's gonna be much of an issue. Ricky, who do you got?
I sat here last week and talked about the perils of picking against the Patriots. But you know me, I never learned my lesson. So
You know.
I'm actually gonna take the points here.
Wow.
I feel like the low spread here is sort of inviting some significant juice on the Patriots. Is the fewest points Pats have been favored by this season. Previous low being when they're 7-point favorites against the Bills. I just think what we saw from the Browns last week, they showed a little bit of an ability to run the ball in this defense. And say what you will about the Ravens offense and whether you think it's actually that good or if you agree with sort of the style that they play, but there's no denying the fact that they've achieved greater results offensively than anybody the Patriots have faced at this point. I just think with their ability to take care of the football as they've done for the most part this season, I think that mobile quarterbacks in the past have had some success against the Patriots. I think in large part it might be because it's somewhat gimmicky and you can account for so many things. And the Patriots, I think we can agree, are the most well-prepared team in the NFL. But all of a sudden something breaks down on a play and you got a guy like Lamar Jackson back there. Maybe he makes a play or two. And then ultimately I just think that this is the best coach the Patriots have faced. I mean, I think Mike, you and I were sort of talking off the air last week about some of the coaches, how much of a mismatch it's been this season.
We talked about it on the show last week.
Yeah, and it's so with Jim Harbaugh across the way on the other sideline, another guy who's he's played the Patriots tough in the past. I could see this being a scenario where the Ravens give him a game at least, maybe keep it within a field goal. So I will take the points in this, and obviously I'll probably end up regretting that come Monday morning.
I think you'll regret that. I got to go with the Patriots again against an inexperienced quarterback. I know it's a different type of quarterback, but at the end of the day, Jackson, after starting off the season with 7 touchdowns and no picks, he has 4 touchdowns and 5 picks in the last 5 games, 60% completion percentage, 75 passer rating.
How many games?
In the last 5 games, since week 3. Yeah. Again, it's a lot of interceptions. You know the Patriots are going to get a couple interceptions in this game. Best turnover differential, most picks, most takeaways. And yeah, the Ravens their biggest win this year came against the Seahawks on the road. Beautiful win for them. They should be very proud of that win.
Gorgeous.
But it was like they scored 2 defensive touchdowns in that game. I don't see that happening against a team like New England. Sure, he hasn't been as good this year as in years past, but let me tell you something. Baltimore, their defense isn't as what it used to be in the years past. They're allowing 6.1 yards per play, let's just say the Ravens at best scored 20 points in this game. I could see the Patriots putting up like 28 points in this game, and I think they cover. And against that defense, I'm not a big fan of the Ravens defense. Neither should you.
Carolina, Pittsburgh, Denver, Tennessee, Washington, Cincinnati, Chicago, Miami, and the Jets. Not very good teams, right?
No.
Those are all the teams that have a worse yard per play
Sorry.
offense than the Patriots do this year. So it's not the same Patriots offense
No,
as it has been.
it's also not the same Ravens
I know,
defense.
but I think that's maybe
And I would also make the case that, you talked about basically sort of just taking it as a matter of fact that the Ravens are going to throw 2 interceptions in this game.
Yeah.
What if they don't give them an opportunity to do that? I'm
just
thinking
run the ball,
you
fumble.
just strictly run the ball, control the clock to further mitigate that Patriots offense. I just think that's the way you got to do
They're
it.
averaging nearly 3 takeaways a game. More than 3 takeaways a game. The Patriots, 25 takeaways this year. They're averaging more than 3, and those are all against turnover-prone guys. Why is all of a sudden Lamar Jackson?
If you look at the teams, the Steelers are the only team the Patriots have faced right now to this point with a positive turnover differential.
I understand.
Obviously, that's impacted to an extent by the Patriots just beating up on these teams and taking the ball away, but I don't know. It also suggests that those are some sloppy offensive teams.
A lot of those bad teams they faced are good defenses. They played the Jets twice. They're a good defensive team. They're not a joke on defense. They played the Bills. I'm not saying they're like 85 Bears, the Jets, but they're top 10 in yards allowed per play. They played the Steelers, top 8 in yards allowed per play. Bills, number 3. So it's like they face some good defenses.
Yeah, they haven't scored a ton of points on offense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all right. I'm taking the points too.
I'm saying the Ravens stink on defense, so they'll put up some points this week.
I'm taking the Ravens. This is.
I figured.
It's one of those things where, like, if I lose this game, I'm okay with that because then I'll really fully buy into this Patriots defense. But it's just, you start laying it all out, and it's hard to just ignore just how bad the offenses have been that the Patriots have played. So I'll go through a few things here, but to Ricky's point, the Ravens have tied for the third fewest turnovers so far this season. They're also middle of the pack in penalties, where the Patriots have feasted on teams like Cleveland who just committed a ton of penalties. Baltimore has the top-ranked pass blocking offense according to Pro Football Focus. Also according to Pro Football Focus, they have the 3rd best rushing attack. So they have got a good offensive line. That's something the Patriots haven't really had to deal with this year going up against. And this is the big one for me. The Patriots have faced 6 different teams this year. They faced the Jets twice. They haven't faced a passing attack that's graded higher than 23rd in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus. They've played the 32nd, 31st, 30th, 28th, 26th, and 23rd ranked passing offenses this year, according to Pro Football Focus. And the last place team in that list is the Jets. They faced them twice. So all 7 of their games have come against the 10 of the worst passing attacks in the league. I don't know. So, like, even if Baltimore isn't elite offensively, you at least have a chance to maybe sustain some drives. The Ravens have the most first downs per game this year, 24.6. The Patriots are allowing 13 first downs per game, which is obviously the best third-ranked defense. But I wonder if Baltimore or Cleveland kind of not exposed, but laid the groundwork for, it fits into what Baltimore wants to do, which is run the ball. Cleveland number 1 yard per carry this year, Baltimore number 2. If Cleveland, this is a big if, but like Nick Chubb doesn't get kicked in the elbow and fumble that ball, that game is maybe not completely different, but that's a different drive. He doesn't fumble on the 11-yard line or whatever it was, that's a different drive.
Like, say that about anything.
Well, then what are we doing here? Then why even?
But okay, you're acting like it's luck that the Patriots got those turnovers.
The one where the lineman kicked the ball out of the running back's
But that's what
hands,
they do.
that was luck.
They have 25 takeaways. They average 3
against
a game.
Friggin' Sam Darnold.
Cool. So you're saying their offense stinks? They put up 30 points in the last 4 games, every game.
That game played out exactly how we expected it to play out. That the Browns shot themselves in the foot, and this is a week where I don't anticipate that happening. At least to the extent that it happened last week, the week prior, and basically every other week.
The thing I hate most about this game is it's just 3.5. Like, I could see a 31-27 game, which is extremely competitive game. The Patriots win.
You think the Ravens put 27 points up? How are they
Jesus Christ, I don't know. It was the first thing that came to my mind. 21-17. 17-13. 4-0. Couple safeties. What do you want? It was the first thing that came to my mind.
I'm saying 13 offensive touchdowns with the Patriots in the last 4 games. It's not like their offense is dead. They've been putting up at least 27
really
points
short
in the
fields
last.
in there too, probably.
Because they forced turnovers.
Against bad offenses who are extremely.
Why are Lamar Jackson's 5 picks in the last 5 games?
You're being disingenuous if you can't admit that this is by far the best.
I'm not being disingenuous. I understand it's the best offense to face this year.
Right. So my only point is I'll take the points at home Sunday night. Team coming off the bye, at a tough place to play. It's not just the matchup; it's the numbers too. Like I said, I would feel better if I was getting maybe one more point here. But it is what it is. You got to make a pick at some point.
All right.
Sounds like they're going to get Hollywood Brown back. Jimmy Smith seems like he's healthy as well. Coming off the bye, I don't know. Isn't Turkey's point? Yeah, by far the best coached team too. It's not even close.
And it's just, the home primetime aspect of it too. 12-1 straight up. The Ravens are under John Harbaugh in home primetime games. So it's like an element of I don't know. It just feels like something fluky could have happened. And it's Halloween week. Ooh.
Is Halloween week this week or last week?
That's a debate for us.
It's already November. It's already Thanksgiving. November 1, Thanksgiving.
I think this has all the feel of the Monday night game in 2007. The Patriots went in there. They were 11-0. They were 18.5 point favorites. Jesus Christ! And they won by 3.
Nice.
So, I don't know. It's not. That has nothing to do with what's going to happen tonight. But I could.
Who was the quarterback for the Ravens that game?
Jared Bowler.
Kyle Bowler.
Who's Jared? Jared something or other. Yeah.
All right. Locks and upsets.
What's your lock, Andre?
Hold on. I have to. My lock. I gotta pull it up.
All right, you want me to go here?
Yeah, you go first.
All right, I'll take the Packers. 3.5 point favorites over the Chargers.
That was gonna be my lock.
This is. I'm glad I swooped in there. Then I beat you to the punch. But it was just probably gonna be basically a home game for the Packers. Aaron Rodgers in that offense and
85 to 90%.
Yeah,
95%.
This is a Chargers team that just isn't great at home to begin with, even dating back to pre-move to LA. That offense in one of those zones right now. I also don't know who's going to be calling the plays for the Chargers. It looks like it's a quarterback's coach after firing Ken Wisenhunt. So, I don't know. That could be an improvement, but at the end of the day, it's also an unknown quantity. So, I'll trust the Packers more so than that new look offense.
Aaron Jones is
There's something weird with that line. You and I were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, I don't know.
It seems too obvious.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones has been unreal.
He's good. I've been saying this since he was drafted, too. It was a good pick by them.
Oh.
It's good.
He could have had another long touchdown if his toe wasn't out of bounds.
Yeah.
He had a lot of room too. I don't know.
Momentum.
A lot of momentum.
He should have slowed down and then
dude.
speed it up. Got some knocks in him.
He doesn't even get a ton of touches either. They've got a good thing going.
I like my lock.
I don't know.
Guys, my lock.
Public team too.
The week after the week after the Chargers get their ass handed to them for the most part by the Bears.
Yeah.
A
win's a win, I guess.
It looks like if Matt Moore is the starting quarterback for the Chiefs, the Vikings would be 2.5 point favorites on the road.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the Vikings. I'm assuming Matt Moore is going to play. Andy Reid spoke to the media this morning on Tuesday and said that they're just trying to be cautious with Pat Mahomes. It doesn't look like he's going to play this week, but it's only Tuesday. Either way, though, I like the Vikings because
I don't like that pick.
Dalvin Cook has the most yards from scrimmage.
Going to continue to get burned by Dalvin. Picking against Dalvin Cook.
All of last year.
Going
this
to
year.
Kansas City, the worst run defense.
I'm not picking against my lock is Vikings.
Oh, I thought you were setting
No.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
That's exactly.
Jesus
You made
Christ,
my point.
I was
Dalvin
gonna
Cook
say.
leads the NFL in scrimmage yards going up against the Chiefs rush
I thought there was
defense.
a big butt coming there.
Vikings have extra preparation. They played on Thursday night, and they have the third best yards per play differential. Yeah, it's going to matter in this game against the Chiefs team that's terrible on defense, 29th in time of possession, and old veteran quarterback in Matt Moore, who, he didn't throw any picks last week. But I'll take the Vikings.
The narrative in this program has really changed with regards to Dalvin Cook
it really
and
has.
also Leonard Fournette. I think Leonard
I mean, they're
Fournette
the two
was
best
the
backs
subject
in the
of
league this
scrutiny
year.
at the beginning of the year.
We call it the way we see it.
Yeah,
It's a fluid situation.
Things can change. Things can change.
Speaking of things changing, the Oakland Raiders are going home. They haven't played at
Wow.
home since September 15th. That was back when I actually liked Andre. They are home for the first time since week 2. Technically not their first home game. They were home in London, but they've been everywhere and in between. I like them covering 2 points at home against the Lions. The Lions I like, but the defense is it's tough. And Oakland has an underrated offense at this point. They have 6.8 yards per play the last 3 weeks. Who did they play last week? One of the games was Green Bay. I forget where they were last week, but they've been
Houston
good.
last week.
Houston, that's a good,
Yeah.
yeah. So, Gruden, for all of Gruden's missteps or whatever, how much you want to make fun of him, the contract, et cetera, he's still a very good play caller. And Detroit has just been torched recently. 5th worst yards per play defense last 3, 26th overall. And you got like Daniel Jones tearing them up. So I think Oakland goes home. It's good to play in front of those Raiders fans. I think they're going to be fired up. People haven't had anything to do the last few weeks.
They're getting used to the fact that their team is going.
They got a full green field to play
Yeah,
on.
no baseball field.
No baseball field, so I like the Raiders to. I think they win pretty easily, but that's always a dumb thing to say. I'll regret that one. Upset, Ricky.
I like the Titans getting 4 points over the Panthers. Titans have the #1 run defense according to Pro Football Focus's grades. Also, very good tackling team, good in coverage. I just feel like, they might not have the 49ers defense, particularly when it comes to the pass rush, but I think they could cause some similar problems to the Panthers this week. And also, their offense is fairly decent now, ever since they made the quarterback change.
Jonnu Smith.
In general, I think the Titans are a team that I just really like as an underdog. And the second they start giving away points, that's when I don't like them quite as much. So in a game like this, 4 points, I'll take the points.
So is this Variable's second season?
Yes.
Right? So hold on, I'm looking this up real quick. That's actually a good point. I'm interested now. I'm working on it.
Should we just wait?
I'm very close to having this done.
I'll make a point about the Panthers, though,
Sure.
in the Titans game. Titans have allowed the 5th most receiving yards to running backs.
Tennessee 8-5 against the spread as an underdog since Rabel took over. Not bad. That's 8-5.
Yeah,
You're winning money.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
All right, I've got my upset. Bucks over the Seahawks. Tampa Bay. Game should be a pick'em based on yards per play differential, but the Bucks are 6.5-point underdogs. Seattle has 5 wins by 1 possession this year. 6 of their 8 games have been by 1 score. So that's basically what I'm going past. I think Seattle still wins this game, but I think it'll be a close game just as long as Jameis Winston doesn't throw 19 interceptions, which could happen, but I'm guessing it won't happen against the Seattle team that's they've made only 3 takeaways this year or something. They don't really have any takeaways. Or sorry, interceptions at least. They have takeaways, not many interceptions. Yeah, Seattle Seahawks. 7 takeaways. Sorry, here's what Seattle's issue is. They have a great yards per play differential, but it's mostly because they don't give away the ball. They've only 1 interception. Russell Wilson doesn't turn the ball over. No. But I also think that Bucks rush defense is for real. They've only allowed 3 yards per carry, and Tampa Bay covers.
The one thing that you got right this entire show, right on the tip of your tongue, was the yards per play or rushing yards. The one time you're ready to go. You got an axe to grind with me, don't you?
What are you talking about?
You had that stat earlier at the ready real fast, but you can't pin down turnover differential or whatever you're doing over there.
Well, I pinned it down eventually. It's all that matters. We're just giving information.
I got the Dolphins. I think you're going to win this week. 3-point home underdogs against the Jets. The Jets, as we are filming this, are trying to trade everybody on their roster, save for maybe like 2 players. It sounds like they're going to try to trade Jamal Adams. Sounds like they're going to try to trade even Le'Veon Bell, Robbie Anderson. So what happens if they trade all of their good players?
Then they have bad players.
They're going to be even worse. They're not good either. I mean, so if you're going to give me points at home against a team that just told everybody in the world that they've quit on the season, maybe against, I don't know, like at a certain point, what is the thing what's the deal with tanking? Like, does that even, how do the players respond to that? Like, at some point, it feels like Miami's going to be like, we're going to win a game here.
I feel like in football, tanking might be the realest because it's a very physical sport. So if there's a tackle that you might make if it's the Super Bowl, you're going to be like, let him just.
But I also think like
these I
feel like these guys have pride. And I also think it's the most cutthroat league in terms of keeping a job. So you want to put good tape out there.
Yeah.
And from a coaching standpoint, you want to keep a job. I don't know what that conversation is with a guy like Brian Flores. Be like, hey, welcome to the program, but we need you to blow every game this year.
I have to think that they told him this is what we're going to do, and you're going to be safe for at least 3 years.
You would hope.
Because why else would you take the job?
Yeah, I mean that's. I would think that the Jets situation is probably a little different. I mean,
if they're really trying to lose, Rosen would still be quarterback.
So like. Yeah, that's true. And there's a way to do it where you could be like, we're not going to give you a good team, but operate as as normal. Like, go try to win games, but you're not going to have any talent to do it. But it's gonna if the Jets trade everybody, it's going to be pretty close.
How do you sell Adam Gase on tanking?
Yeah.
I don't see that being something that he's going to be very receptive to.
The Jets are just, at least the Dolphins are tanking right. The Jets, hired Gase. They signed Le'Veon Bell.
Could have been a different season
Gase's
if it wasn't
wishes.
for Sam
sure.
Darnold.
But then, they fired the GM after the draft. It's just a mess down there. So.
Yeah.
The Dolphins actually been playing a little bit better recently.
And what did I say last week? I said Nationals will win the first game, then the Astros will win the 4th straight. Nationals win the first 2 games. The Astros
already
are
taking a victory lap before.
I mean, they're probably going to win.
This is a sharp transition to the World Series.
All right, let's go. I got stuff to do.